welcome to EddieGoFly. So today I'm going to be giving you a rundown on my Cedar Hobbies Phoenix. I'm going to go ahead and lift it up so you could really get an idea of this plane. This is the biggest plane I've had on my channel yet. Believe it or not, I do have bigger ones, so stay tuned for those. This is also the first twin I've had on my channel. 2 engines. So, like I said, this is a Phoenix manufactured by Cedar Hobbies. This plane has an 81-inch wingspan. It's about 70 inches long, and it was designed for 40 to 60 size nitro glow engines. If you look at it, you'll notice that it is a familiar shape. That's because the designer of this plane modeled it after the F7F Tiger Cat, as well as the Pika Super Duelist, which is another twin plane RC plane. Now, you probably don't recognize the name Cedar Hobbies, and that's because they weren't around very long, and they only made a few models. I know one of their models was a stick type plane, an ugly stick, but I think they were most known for the Phoenix. Now, a buddy of mine called me up and said, "Ed, I've got a bunch of stuff for sale. I recently bought out someone leaving the hobby. Why don't you come over and see if you're interested in anything?" The second I saw this plane sitting on the floor of his garage, I knew I had to have it. I had never had a twin before, so I was kind of looking for one. He said, "All right, you could have it, but it doesn't have a manual, so you're going to have some work ahead of you," which was no problem. Did take me a little longer to put together, but having a manual would have been better. So the equipment I have in this plane, I used high-tech 425 BB servos, which they're not quite, I wouldn't call them high-torque servos, but with the smaller control surfaces on this plane, I didn't really think it needed anything bigger. The front wheel as well as the rudder run off the same servo, so I did put a high-torque servo on that one. The receiver in this plane is a Futaba R2008 SB. The battery I use is a Turnigy Life battery, 6.6 volts. My favorite part about this plane is the engines I used, which are OS65AX engines. Now, you probably heard me before say this was designed for 40 to 60 size engines, so 65s definitely haul this thing around, no problem. When I was putting it together, I thought I wanted this thing to be a 4-stroke. The AX engines are 2-stroke, so I did have Magnum 91s on this before. If you do remember from my Stuka video, I did have some issues with the Magnum 91. The 2 Magnums I had on this when I was building it were completely different than that one I had. Nonetheless, they still gave me issues. I could get one to run, but then that one wouldn't run. I could get that one to run, but this one wouldn't run, which was, needless to say, pretty frustrating. Since then, I actually put both engines on separate channels, so I could actually trim them out separately. Even though they both run off the same stick, it's really nice to have that trim. When I have it, when I'm getting ready to fly it and I start the engines and giving it throttle a few times, it really helps in getting them close together in RPMs. So I've actually only flown this plane 5 times. As much as I love it, you'd think I would be flying it more. We had a fly-in for the RC club I'm in. It's a 2-day fly-in, which if you don't know what a fly-in is, it's pretty much a day everyone plans to get together, have a cookout, and you have a lot of people from other clubs too, so it's just a lot of people at the field, more than normal, and it's always a good time. So Friday at the fly-in, I flew it, and it was great. It was fun. And then the landing came. When I put it down on the ground, the front gear folded under, the nose went down, and both engines struck the ground. So I took it home that night and found out that the front gear was barely held in by anything down there. I mean, it was like 1/8" ply that it was bolted to, and that was no good. So I actually cut a big 2x4 piece and lodged it in there with epoxy and screwed that wheel in with wood screws. Now it's probably the strongest part of the plane. So day 2 rolls around. I gave it another flight, and this time I gave myself a lot more room to land, and boy did I put it down soft. I really greased that landing, so I think if I did that kind of landing the first day it wouldn't have broke, but it was still pretty weak. So I had 2 flights that day, and they were both good. If you watched my RC Moments video that just had a bunch of clips of some of the flights I've had over the last couple of years, you probably saw this in that video. So I'll go ahead and put that clip in this video as well right now. So if you noticed in that video, there's a very distinct humming of 2 engines together. And you hear that in all planes, you know, old warplanes, new turboprops, anything. If there's 2 propellers spinning at the same time, it sounds awesome. And with those OSAX engines, it sounds even better. So I've only had this plane out at the field one other time besides that fly-in. And again, I put 2 flights on it, and they were both very good flights. This plane flies very fast. In that video I posted, I was probably between half and 3/4 throttle. I only put it at full throttle a couple times for some low speed passes, or high speed passes low to the ground. It flies very good. I would say it flies kind of like a pattern plane. And I think that would be because of the length. It is a pretty long plane, so it really tracks good in the air. It flies like it's on rails. And if you cut the throttle pretty far out from the runway, take it down to about 1/4, I'd say once you get over the first part of the runway, give it 0 throttle and just let it float in. The thing lands like a trainer. It's very impressive. Well, as much as I love this plane, I actually have been trying to sell it for the last year or so. Maybe not last year, the last 6 months. I am trying to fund a couple projects coming up, so that's the reason for it. I have it on eBay. With that said, if it doesn't sell by the time spring rolls around, I will take it off eBay because I would not mind having this for another flying season. Be completely okay with that. Well, that's about all I have for you for today's rundown video. I hope you enjoy learning about a plane you've probably never seen before. So one more time, I'll pick it up, show you it a little bit, give you an idea of how cool it is. Anyways, thank you for watching my video today. Don't forget to subscribe down below so you don't miss a moment coming up. And I hope you join me next time on EddieGoFly. See you later.